But some days I know that I phone it in. Some days I know that I'm just like, I'll just start it over tomorrow. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm here to talk about my goals. Every month I sit down and share with you how last month's goals went and all the goals that I have set for the upcoming month. And I cannot believe we're already here to talk about November, but let's start with October and let me share with you how my goals went for October. It was pretty hit or miss. Some of them were great and some of them were not so great. So let's start with the monthly action items. The first one was to make a list of areas that I would like to declutter in the apartment. That one was easy. Making a list is always easy. The second goal was actually completing the list, and that one I only did a little bit. However, I do still have time scheduled in my planner as of the time that I'm filming this video to finish that list. Now, it's also the day that I am trying to pack, but in my mind, I can do them kind of at the same time, right? Like I will declutter a space, and while I'm in that space, I will pull out the things that I want to pack for our trip to Chicago. So trying to do them at the same time. It might mean that some of the spaces don't get done. And like I said in last month's video, I have broken up the spaces into 3 categories. So one is the sections that have to get done before we leave. And those I've actually either already done or will definitely get done while we pack. The second one is the nice to have. Those are the things that I'd like to get done because I'd like to come home and have those spaces be done. And then the third category is it doesn't really have to happen before we leave because there's nothing in that area that we would pack anyways. So going through that section is additional. It's not going to help me pack. So that's going to be the last section that I tackle. So I might not get to shade the entire bar in, but I do think I will get to shade in more than there is right now. The next monthly action item was to organize my December daily supplies, or at least my memory keeping supplies that I had here in New York. And if you watch my weekly vlog from a couple weeks ago, I'll make sure to link it if you didn't catch it. I did organize all of my memory keeping supplies and I shared that in that vlog. And I'm feeling pretty good about my organization setup. There isn't a lot of empty space, and I have a whole slew of new supplies waiting for me in Chicago that I'm like, I don't really know where they're gonna go, but we're gonna figure it out. You can probably already guess one of the monthly action items for November. All right, the next 2 monthly action items were both wedding related, and if you watched last week's weekly vlog, we did decide to postpone our wedding to 2022. I'm not going into that here. In fact, I didn't even go into it there because I don't really feel like I need to explain, and it's really hard to talk about. So the 2 items that were wedding related, I just drew a big line through and said, I will get to it someday.
Editing like in here, I totally forgot to mention batching November content. I didn't shade it in before the video because that's what I was doing while I was filming, but I definitely finished at least the filming aspect of it, working on the editing now, and hopefully that will all get done by the end of October before we head to Chicago.
All right, the next monthly action item was to plan out Vlogmas, and I did that. And I can't wait to share it with you. I am doing something totally different than I've done in the last 2 years, so I might be a little bit crazy, but I'm excited to give it a go. I will definitely share that with you soon. If you don't know what Vlogmas is, it's not even a challenge. It's a thing here on YouTube where you upload 1 video a day, every day from December 1st through December 25th. And I've done it for the past 2 years, and I am excited to participate again this year. Okay, the next one was to read Why We Sleep, and this one is partially shaded in. I think I'm gonna be able to finish it before we leave. I really want to, mostly because I don't want to take a book that I'm like 75% of the way through. I would rather just like take brand new books with me to Chicago. So that's the big driver of why I want to finish it before we leave, and then of course I get to shade in the rest of the bar. But I did really like putting a specific book on my tending list. I got that idea from Katie. I mentioned that last month, and I don't know, I really liked it. It was fun when I knew I made significant progress in the book to go do a couple more squiggles on my bar. The next monthly action item was to make a tracking list. So this is a list of things that I want to track related to my sleep and figuring out like what impacts my sleep. And there are a lot of things that, you know, the experts say impact your sleep, but specifically for me, what really does make the most impact. So I made a list of 5 things. There are a lot more things I could have tracked, but I wanted to keep it as simple as possible so that I would actually do it. So the things that I'm going to track, if you're curious, are, did I have any alcohol, how much, and when did I have it? Again, I'm gonna try to be specific about the time and the amount, but sometimes it just might be a check or not. I'm actually gonna do this in a Google spreadsheet because I just think that having it digital is gonna be easier for me than trying to do it by hand. The second thing is caffeine, how much and when. Did I have dessert? That is one thing I learned from the book, that you don't think about it when you have a chocolate dessert that there's caffeine in that chocolate. And if you have it too close to bed, that could really impact your sleep. The fourth one is TV. So when did I stop watching TV? And then did I get outside and for how long? Because getting vitamin D, like I take a vitamin D supplement, but getting actual vitamin D outside can impact your sleep. Like you need the vitamin D during the day to help you sleep at night. So those are the 5 things I'm gonna track. Some of those came from the book and then some of those came from additional research that I did. And then the last monthly action item was to make a gift plan. So to make a plan for all of the gifts that I'm gonna purchase for the holiday season, and I did not do that. So you can guess what's gonna be on November's list. All right, the weekly action items. So both of my weekly action items were related to reading and trying to read more. That's one of my overarching quarterly goals. So I had 2 weekly action items. One was to read more on a weeknight. So to have one weeknight where I didn't watch any TV and I just read that night. And then one was to read for at least an hour on the weekends. I could do that all at the same time, or I could break it up. And this has been pretty hit or miss, and they've gone together. So I either did both of them or I did neither of them. Fine, neither of these things are things I'm gonna carry over. They were just me, again, trying to read more and then finish up some of these books that I don't want to take with me to Chicago. Okay, my daily action items. So I have made this mistake before and I just don't learn my lesson. But one of my issues sometimes, and I get that I'm just trying to track things because I'm not trying to add in a bunch of new daily action items. I try to stick to either 1 or 2 new daily action items every month, and the rest of them are things I've done before. But my mistake that I made again this month is doing daily action items that link up with each other. So I either do them both or I don't do either of them. Like they're very consistent. So the first 2 were the 100 days challenge, which is reading my 100 days to break book, and my morning routine. And because I read it during my morning routine, they were just one and the same. So it didn't really make sense to track both of them. And you'll see how I'm kind of adjusting that in November to be a little bit more specific rather than just morning routine. Same thing with my evening routine. My evening routine, using my Hatch and tracking my sleep, they were all one and the same. I either did them all or I didn't do any of them. So I just need to think a little bit more sometimes about the daily habits that I'm putting down. And if they're linked together, there's really no purpose to have more than one. And again, I could just look at it as I'm tracking them just to see how frequently I do them. But when they have the same thing, like it just doesn't really make that big of a difference. I think I would rather leave those lines blank than to have to mark that I didn't do it twice. All right, let's move on to November. So for the encouraging words, I went back to my original system where I would kind of look at all of my goals and see if there was kind of a theme and if there was kind of a topic that I wanted to quote, and then I went and searched for that quote. And then what I love about this quote is it also has a common phrase in there that I said to my manager in an email earlier this week, and I questioned it. So let me tell you what the quote is and then I'll tell you the story. So the quote is, "The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today." And when I looked at my November goals, it's really a lot of preparation. It's preparing for the holidays. It's preparing for 2021. It's preparing for December. It's a lot of preparation type steps. And so I really wanted a quote that was about preparation. But then when I saw that quote and it talked about doing your best, that really stuck with me because earlier this week I was typing an email to my boss and I hadn't gotten a piece of information I needed from somebody else. So I typed, I haven't heard back from so-and-so, but I did my best to do it myself or whatever. And then I paused and I thought, did you really do your best? Did you do your best to actually fill in that section without that additional information? And I actually realized that I hadn't, and so I went back and redid that section of the memo and then sent it to my boss with the I did my best in the email because I realized that I hadn't actually done my best. So what I want this quote to inspire me to do is throughout the month of November, did I do my best that day? Did you do your best? And if not, then what can I do differently tomorrow that would be my best? And some days your best is like getting out of bed and working 9 to 5 and then going back to relax and watch TV and go to bed. Like some days my best is not going to be like what I think of as my best. But some days I know that I phone it in. Some days I know that I'm just like, I'll just start it over tomorrow. Like, I'll just start it over next week. And I know that I'm guilty of it. And I think I'm afraid I'm gonna be way more guilty of it when I'm at home with my family, because most of the time when I'm at home with my family, it's vacation. It's like, yeah, I'm not working. It's like, oh yeah, let's have another glass of wine. It's a lot more relaxed. And while I'm excited to spend the time with my family, like, it's just normal life in a different place. Like I'm still gonna be working. I still have goals that I want to achieve. And so I think that quote just wraps all that up into one. That was a lot about my encouraging words. And then my top priority kind of also resembles what I just talked about. And I wrote the word balance because again, I want to make sure that while I'm enjoying time with my family and I'm enjoying some of the relaxation that comes with November and inching into the holidays, it's also still real life. And I also still have work and goals and things that I need to do. And so I want to make sure that I'm balancing that. And so if I were watching TV and it's getting close to my bedtime because I want to get up early and work out, then like it's time to go to bed. And you're going to see them again tomorrow. It's not like I have a limit. I mean, I do have a limited time with them, but it's a long limited time. And there will be days in November, like the week of Thanksgiving, where I don't need to worry about balance and it will all just be fun. And some weekend days, but during the weekdays especially, I want to remember that. Okay, let's start with the monthly action items. The first one, is blank. And that's because I'm working on something that I can't share with you yet. And I haven't even written it on my power sheets. As soon as I'm done filming this video, I'm gonna write it on my power sheets, and I'm just not ready to share it yet. So something that I'm working on for Plan with Lakin that I'm really excited about that I want to finish up in November. The second one is also Plan with Lakin related, and that is to do some prep for Vlogmas. So what this looks like is filming and editing some videos. It's getting some thumbnails ready to go so I don't have to deal with that. At least getting like the structure of what I want thumbnails to look like for Vlogmas, since I usually switch it up. I want to get that ready to go before December. Maybe some description boxes ready to go, at least the outline, so it's a lot easier for me to like copy and paste and get things set up when we get to the craziness of December. Maybe I should have added a step to make a list of all the things that I want to prep for Vlogmas. I might add that like next to it, just write a little arrow, draw a little checkbox and put list. And then the last Plan with Lakin one is the Plan with Lakin finances. So I talked about this a couple months ago and I didn't get it done that month. I actually did work on it a little bit in October, in the sense that I set up a budget. So I have my normal spreadsheet that I use for my personal budget, which I do have a video on. Somebody messaged me about that recently. I do have a video on my personal budgeting spreadsheet. It's pretty old, but the spreadsheet hasn't changed. So if you want to check that video out, I will link it down below. But for Plan with Lakin, I set up a whole separate budget spreadsheet just for Plan with Lakin. Now what I need to do is actually get Plan with Lakin its own accounts, at least a checking account, so that I can have all the money that comes in and all the money that goes out that's related to Plan with Lakin be in its own checking account. I am determined to get this done before the new year so that it makes my 2021 taxes that much easier. So I'm getting that done in November. All right, the next one is related to my reading goal, and that is to set up my reading journal. I shared this in a weekly vlog a few weeks ago. I ordered a plum paper monthly planner to do a reading journal, and I'm excited to set it up. I talked about in that vlog that I was gonna make it a goal for November so that I wouldn't set it up that weekend. And so I put it on a shelf and it's just been sitting there, and I'm gonna set it up in November as part of my reading goal. All right, the next three are all gift card holiday related. So the first one is to plan the gifts, since I didn't do that one in October. And then the second one is to order the cards. So I split up cards and gifts because cards is like one foul swoop, right? I just need to sit down and order the cards. And I think I'm gonna use a different service than I used in prior years because I want the addresses pre-printed. So in prior years, I have made address stickers on my silhouette. So I printed out on sticker paper and I've had the machine cut them, and then we didn't have to write all the addresses. We just stuck them onto the envelopes, and then obviously with return address labels, same thing, and we didn't have to worry about it. Well, because I'm not taking my silhouette with me to Chicago and that wasn't getting done before we left, I think I'm going to pick a holiday card website that does pre-printed addresses. Additionally, we don't have to do holiday cards this year for Sam's clients because of his new support staff that he has. They're going to handle that. So now I need a smaller number, so I'm okay spending a little bit more and getting the pre-printed addresses. Plus, all the addresses are nice in a spreadsheet from the wedding guest list. So that is so easy. I can just take the wedding guest list, add anybody that we also send cards to that aren't wedding guests, upload that into whatever the website is, and then order the cards. And then the third one related to this is actually buy the gifts. And so that one is separate because I think some of that will be online shopping. Some of that might be my mom and I going in person shopping, assuming things don't get shut down. So that's why I separated that from cards. And then the last three monthly action items are all related to December daily. So again, that mindset of preparation and preparing me for December daily. So the first one is organizing the supplies. So taking all of the new products that I got shipped to my mom's and organizing them in my supplies that I organized in October. The next one is to do the prep day. And I would love to do the prep day like as they have it planned. It's a 12-hour day on a Saturday. It's from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and there's like a video every hour, and then you just spend the rest of the hour crafting. I did the prep day for Week in the Life back in the spring and I loved it. However, I'm not gonna spend 12 hours on a Saturday sitting and playing with my crafts when I could be spending it with my family. So I'm probably gonna have to break it up. It was $5. So I purchased the ticket and I'm gonna break it up over the course of the month. Maybe I should have put that as a weekly thing to do like a couple of them each week. Oh well, that might be how I do it, that might not be, but I am going to do it over the course of the month. And then the last one is to do the December Dailies story class. So this is just a generic, like not specific to 2020 class that Allie Edwards has up on her site that I actually purchased last year, but never made the time to do it. And this year I wanna make sure I make the time to do it, especially because last year it was easier to find stories because I was doing things like the holiday party and the tree lighting and Cultivate Your Year Live and just all of the things that are part of December in person that I don't have this year. And so I know that I'll be able to find magic and find stories for December daily, but I do think it's going to take a different lens for me to like look through compared to last year. And so that's why I think I really would benefit from doing the stories class this year. All right, the weekly action items. I don't have any. I decided that for November, I wasn't going to do any weekly action items because I just feel like my weeks are gonna be kind of all over the place. Like, I don't actually know what's gonna happen with my family. Like, I don't know what our plans are gonna be. I don't know what the weeks are gonna look like. And so having something consistently every week just felt overwhelming right now, to be honest. I've always struggled with the weekly action items. If you've watched these videos, you know that that's always something that I struggle with. So I decided just to go ahead and leave it blank for this month and give myself a pass on weekly action items. All right, the daily action items. So the first one on my list is just to read. And I was very generic because I would love to read multiple times a day. Like, I'd like to read during my morning routine. I'd like to read before I go to bed, but who knows? Again, being with my family, I don't really know what life is gonna look like quite yet. So I just wanna make sure that I try and read for at least 5 minutes. Like, that's it. As long as I read for a little bit every single day, that will accomplish my goal of reading more, because it would be more than 0, right? Anything more than 0 is still success. It's still progress. So my goal is just to read, even if it's just for a little bit. I don't care what book, I don't care when, a little bit every single day. The next daily action item you probably saw coming, and that is to track my sleep. So I shared the 5 things that I'm going to track and then follow up tracking it on my Apple Watch, but that I've been doing for months, and just, again, seeing if I can see any trends. I just really want to only do this for 1 month, to track all 5 of these things and see if there is a consistent reason why I have good sleep or bad sleep, and can I remove or do that thing to make it better. So that's really the only new daily action item that's pretty intense. Everything else on my daily action items are things that I was already doing that I just want to keep up with. That one is like brand new, making sure I track all of those additional things. So I really have to figure out where in my day that's going to go, and that's one of the reasons I think I'm going to do it digitally, so that it's actually just on my phone. And so if I know I have a cup of coffee, like, I can just do it from my phone, and it might just be faster. So I don't have to go looking for like a notebook or like making sure I open my computer. If it's on Google Sheets, I can just do it on my phone, and whenever I do the thing that I'm tracking. Okay, the next one is a carryover from October, and that is the 100 Days Challenge. So continuing to read my 100 Days to Brave book. And this is one that I need to keep up on, because if I get too far behind, I'm already doing 2 a day to try to get caught up, because I've missed a few days over the past few weeks. And then eventually I get caught up again, and then I miss a couple days, and then I have to do 2 a day. So when I check in with it, it's did I do it that day, not did I read that day's entry, if that makes sense. All right, the last 2 daily action items. This is where I got really specific. So instead of just writing AM routine and PM routine, what is it from each of those that I really wanted to make sure that I did in November? Because that thing sets me up for success more than any other piece of that routine. So for the AM routine, I wrote move Monday through Friday. So instead of just saying morning routine, and then it's my morning routine plus the workout, plus all the things, I just want to make sure at least that I move. So even if I do none of my other morning routine, if I moved before work, really, I put Monday through Friday, but in reality, it's a morning workout. Because if I don't go in the morning, it is highly unlikely that I will go any other time during the day. I mean, I could, and I would still give myself the check mark, but the goal is really to do it first thing in the morning, Monday through Friday. And then the evening goal is to plan the night before. I have been so bad about this recently. If I don't plan on my daily planner the night before, 50% of the time I won't do it the next morning. And then I am not set up for success if I don't touch my daily planner that day. So I really need to make sure that I do it the night before. And I know that this one is going to be tough with my family. So what I'm gonna start with and see if this works is doing it as soon as I'm done with the work day. So before I go to family mode and dinner and hanging out, I'm gonna set up my daily planner for the next day. That's gonna be the goal. Now, same thing with the workout. If I happen to do it another time in the evening, whether that's after dinner or after TV or whatever, as long as it gets done before I go to bed, I get the check mark. All right, that's it. Those are all my goals for November. Again, it's a lot of preparation, as well as just like making sure that I'm putting my best foot forward, doing my best every day that I am home with my family, since it's normal life. It's not vacation, which is what I usually experience when I'm, at my parents'. So I am excited to get started on some of these, but before we move to November, I want you to let me know down in the comments, what is one thing that you did in the month of October that you are super proud of? What is one goal that you accomplished? It could be really, really small, but I want you to share with us so that we can celebrate your progress. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. Happy planning. The next 2 weekly action items were both not weekly. Nope. Research that I did. Not normal. You've done 1 year. You don't know that. My legs are sweaty.